The industry our group will be talking about is building products industry, more importantly, looking at HVAC and security. The building products industry is an industrial sector. This would include building components, home improvement products, and equipment. Examples of this would be roofing, windows and doors, kitchen and bath, flooring, electrical, and lighting. Along with this, it would include HVAC and security, and then plumbing. It's important to acknowledge that this isn't something that would include forest products or construction materials. Some of the main competitors in the industry include Johnson Controls, which is less dependent because they do work on other big solutions other than HVAC. Trane, which is more dependent on the industry, and then Carrier Global, which is dependent but has other production. Other major HVAC companies would include Goodman and Lennox in the United States, and then there's also LG Electronics, United Technologies, and Daikin. When looking at the industry competitiveness, it is already competitive and it's also growing. Just in the United States, 105,000 HVAC companies total. The US HVAC systems market size was valued at 16.54 billion in US dollars in 2021, and it's projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 5.6 from 2022 to 2030. When looking at it globally, it has 127.40 billion in 2020. There is a demand for energy efficiency, mainly at the residential sector demand. So this would be in home central air conditioning, heat pumps, and heating and cooling. And then there's also a growth in HVAC services that are looking at energy efficiency standards in the United States and globally. This would be legislation around global warming. So by 2023, all new residential central air conditioning and air source heat pump systems sold in the United States will be required to meet new energy efficiency standards, thus fueling the growth of HVAC services. Other factors they compete on would include customer satisfaction, efficiency, durability, and maintenance. Along with this, what kind of coverage they have, the range of products, and the warranty. Carrier, for example, offers refrigeration and food service equipment with the HVAC, which could make them a better competitor just because they allow for different opportunities and would allow for more units to be sold and would just go straight through them. There's also a focus on global expansion. Market share based on product. It's mainly residential with over 40%, and then it's commercial and industrial. When looking at the market share by equipment, mainly heating and then ventilation and cooling. Cooling has been increasing at a higher demand than the other two. The market size was valued at 16.54 billion USD in 2021, and the annual growth rate is the 5.9%.
When it comes to the major suppliers in the industry, there wasn't one supplier that worked with several companies or one supplier that held a lot of bargaining power. There was actually many different suppliers listed for each individual company that we researched. So because of this, we determined that the number of suppliers relative to the buyers in the industry is very high, and these suppliers themselves have a very low bargaining power. There are many substitutes for the parts and materials that are required in the HVAC processes and each company uses. And most all companies in the industry have very high standards and benefits that they offer for suppliers. Here we highlighted Carrier Global and their Carrier Alliance program. They have high standards and very specific criteria that they require of suppliers before they even begin to work with the company. After they have began a partnership, Carrier Global holds a vetting process and a check-in about every couple of months for their suppliers, where if they are not working under the standards held by the company, they are put into this probation period where they have to get back up to standards. If not, the company can refuse to work with the supplier. Aside from that, they also have a lot of benefits that they provide, and a lot of companies in the HVAC industry provide similar benefits for their suppliers that include recognition, their supplier status in the industry so that other companies may want to work with them, as well as a technology roadmap alignment program. HVAC companies also place a high emphasis on supplier diversity and program implementations. This means that because companies have certain programs and standards already in place, they are not willing to just work with any supplier. There is very high competition actually between these suppliers in order to get a partnership with a particular HVAC company. The buyers in the industry have different bargaining power depending on the market. The residential market has become one of the largest segments for the HVAC industry, but because of this, residential buyers actually have relatively low bargaining power, and the industrial and commercial segments and buyers have a high bargaining power. The commercial and industrial buyers affect competitive environment for the sellers. They influence sellers' ability to achieve higher profitability, and buyers can switch producers. This means that buyers will have more bargaining power for bigger projects. Some of the examples in our research were big commercial buildings and going green initiatives. Many companies that are already in place have buildings that are set up with HVAC services and security services as well. Because of these green initiatives, a lot of companies are wanting to partner up with HVAC companies in order to go green and reduce emissions and just be friendlier to the environment. There has been a lot of growth in this industry, as well as just expanding commercial buildings. Businesses have placed high demand on HVAC companies to be competitive and seek out these partnerships so that they can get in on these projects. An example that we saw was Tesla hoping to roll out in-home HVAC systems. That would mean that Tesla would want to partner up with HVAC companies in order to be successful in the industry. And HVAC companies would then hold the lower bargaining power because they would want to seek out, again, those big projects and be a part of those initiatives. The commercial segment is anticipated to record the fastest in the industry because of rising infrastructure development and increasing urbanization across major regions, creating a demand for more office spaces.
The global HVAC market is one which is dominated by 10 companies operating under various different brands. The threat of entry is low since the market is centered around these producers. In Europe, it would be Electrolux from Sweden, Johnson Controls from Ireland. In the Americas, you got United Technologies, Ingersoll Rand, Lennox, and Nortec. And in Asia, we got Daikin from Japan, Samsung Electronics from Korea, Midea Group from China, and LG Electronics from South Korea. The barriers of entry are cost of production, patents, and innovation. The current companies have a competitive advantage on any newcomers because they have the largest share and the largest amount of revenue which they could use to produce new innovative products. Electric fans are the biggest alternatives to home air conditioning. They provide a easy installation method and they are cheap enough to be sold in every retail location, so customers can find them almost anywhere. Electric fans vary in price point as well as they can be floor-based or even ceiling fans. They provide a negative market impact on HVAC systems and have provided a 3% growth rate year to year. Another alternative to HVAC is portable AC units, which are becoming popular and selling more and more every year. They are both easy to find in retail establishments and do not take much to install. The future of the HVAC industry looks bright. From a market size of $240 billion in 2019, it will look to grow to $358 billion by 2030. This is because of climate change and people having more disposable income. The market is very attractive to new entrants because of the mass amount of income and market share that can be attracted. It is always subject to new technology, so companies aren't always gonna be the top brand. Asia is the largest market, but there is also gonna be growth worldwide, so there is no need to stick to one market. It is a very attractive market and would be a good market to go into.